This is DevOps and Agile Way podcast.
Hello everyone, this is the next episode, and this time I publish it a little bit later and I have a good reason for that, but anyway, I don't want to go into this at this point. Today I would like to start kind of mini-series in my podcast and talk with you about DevOps, but not DevOps like we very often see in the internet and etc., but about the principles of DevOps. Probably I will do an episode about the history of DevOps, but right now I want to focus on some frameworks, as I said, and principles. Generally, in DevOps, we have like two frameworks or two sets of principles. One is Columns framework, and the second is the three ways. I don't want to touch three ways today. I will just introduce what it is, right? So three ways is principle or three principles binded together. And we have, surprise, three principles here. So we have the first way, which is the flow or system thinking. The second way is the feedback loops. And the third way is culture of the continuous experimentation and learning. Okay? As you can see here, there is nothing about tools. Okay? So let's go to columns, because columns is a little bit different. I would say complementary. I would say that those two frameworks are working together very well, and you don't need to choose one or another to follow. And Columns is a framework which contains like 5 pillars. Here we have very different pillars, okay? Who listen to the episode where I had the pleasure to talk with Helen Bill, we mentioned columns a little bit. So, 5 pillars of columns. First, C, culture. Second, A, automation. Third, L, lean. Fourth, M, measurement. And fifth, the last one, S, like sharing. So we have 5 principles: culture, automation, lean, measurement, sharing. Where are tools in this? We can say in automation. All right, I agree with this. But automation here in this meaning is a little bit bigger than that, than just tooling. Just, I don't know, Terraform, Ansible, CloudFormation, CI/CD tools, Jenkins, whatever else, right? This is a bigger concept. Why I'm saying about this? Because I want to fight a little bit with very popular recently, well, not that recently, I see this for many years right now, different kind of roadmaps for DevOps. And don't get me wrong, for some reasons, those roadmaps are quite nice, okay? They can show you what you should learn technically to achieve some level of, let's say, being DevOps, right? I know this sound, I hate sound of this, but anyway. And we have in these roadmaps, different roadmaps. Recently, we even have like DevOps Burger, which is like for me. We have, and I want to emphasize this very clearly, we have very opinionated approach, very opinionated list of tools to learn, to use. And I give you a couple of examples. For example, as one of the first technology we need to learn is Linux. So if I work with Windows, I'm not DevOps anymore. For CI/CD tools, they mentioned very often like Jenkins, Azure DevOps, maybe Circle CI. If I work with AWS Code Pipeline, I'm not DevOps anymore. They mentioned specific languages, programming languages to work with. So if in my project I work with C++ and this roadmap says about Node.js, about Go, about Python, because this is these are the most popular languages right now, and those guys even don't think about different languages than that. Does it mean I'm not DevOps? Right? This is something to think about. That's why I say this is very, very opinionated. Okay? And very often it is not necessarily to be like a guru in Linux, because if you work with specific environments, probably it is enough for you to have like a basic knowledge of operating system. You don't need to know more. Can you be a DevOps without cloud? Yes, you can. It's nothing strange. We position DevOps in some place and we have like a connected dots in our minds that DevOps means this and this and this and this and that. What is not necessarily true, because there are multiple different projects in this world where you can be surprised what kind of technologies are there and what you need to do as a DevOps. So, going back to Colms. Probably this episode will be a little bit shorter than usual, but still I want to give like very short impression what Colms is, and then in next episode we will talk about all those letters separately. We need to start thinking about DevOps not just like a bridge between Dev and Ops, because today DevOps is much more than this. And honestly speaking, if we think about DevOps in that way, that this is a bridge between Dev and Ops and nothing more, it means that there is a big risk, and I saw this, that this DevOps is another silo, all right? And with Agile, with all of those approaches, we wanted to get rid of silos. And this silo is even bigger problem, because very often there is only one person who is DevOps or who is like acting as a DevOps or doing DevOps stuff in the team. And buzz factor here is huge, really, right? What is buzz factor? Imagine the situation, you are leading the team and you have people there. So think, what will happen if anyone in this team will be hit by buzz and will not come to work? Do you have in team people who can take work of this guy? Of course, I hope no one will be hit by buzz or anything else. All right, come back to Colms. So, Colms framework is, as I said, a little bit bigger than just DevOps as Dev and Ops or bridge between Dev and Ops. This is something, the framework, which helps us with adoption of DevOps, which helps us with measurement, with improvement of DevOps processes. And this is the most important word today, process. Yes, I know you love processes, right? But still, this is the most important element. Because in DevOps, we think about improvements, and improvements is not like a magical thing which will just happen. We need to measure, we need to understand, we need to properly adapt our approach in order to have this improvement. Culture is about culture of the organization, of the teams, of people, how we collaborate, if we collaborate at all, do we have proper communication, established proper flows in our organization. Automation, obviously, this is the principle which says us that we should remove everything what is manual and repetitive. But the point is that we should remove only this what is really manual, repetitive, and worth to be automated. Because there are things which shouldn't be really automated. Because we spend definitely much more time, much more effort on automating things which not necessarily will bring any value. And the value is the second most important word today. So this is about the automation, about the tools in this automation, about automated processes, about automated delivery, about continuous integration, continuous delivery or deployment, and things like that. Lean. This podcast is called DevOps in Agile Way, and there is a lean in this. You may ask, where? Let me tell you. In Agile. Okay? Lean is one of the frameworks in Agile. Of course, Lean has very long history, not the software Lean, but still Lean as it is, right? We also mentioned this with Helen, or Helen mentioned it in the interview. Here is the core of DevOps, because when we talk about improving processes, about improving feedback loops, about the automation, about increasing the speed of delivery, etc., 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 we also talk about reducing the waste. And this is what Lean is about, more or less. Measurement. Don't misunderstand this. It's not about monitoring, or even it's not about observability. It is about measurements of the process, or the processes, and sharing on the end. We can say that sharing is a part of the culture. I was convinced by Helen to not try to change sharing to something else. I will mention this in a moment. So sharing is about the established way of exchanging information, about practices, about even philosophies, about tools which we use, how we use, why we use. It's about center of excellence. It's about the communities. It's about the exchanging information, generally speaking. And finally, I mentioned that I wanted to change this sharing to something. And I believed, well, I still believe it somehow, that we should have security here as well. This should be also the pillar. Unfortunately, we forgot about security in DevOps. Right now is a little bit better. From a couple of years, we started to realize that, hey, this is important. But still, this is something what we miss. In next episode, we will talk a little bit more about details. So, take care. See you soon in the next episode. Have a nice day.
Thank you for listening to this episode of DevOps in Agile Way podcast with your host, Paveyu Pivosh. Subscribe, comment, and do not forget to check our next episodes. Stay tuned. Stay safe. Stay curious.